Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome to the 9th installment of Creating with Window Envelopes. Each week I will be posting a new idea on how to create various junk journal elements using window envelopes that measure 8 5/8 by 3 5/8, but the majority of the ideas that I am sharing with you can definitely be modified to fit other window envelopes or even your basic envelopes that don't have windows in them. And today I'll be sharing with you a front pocket window envelope, and I was inspired to create these from Roxy's Creations. She does create a lot of front pockets using window envelopes, and so these were kind of something that I decided to create after I've watched a couple of her videos. And I will have Roxy's Creations listed below in the links so you can find her channel very easily. And so I will show you the 3 that I created, and if you want to stick around for the rest of the video, I did do the tutorial for this blue one right here. And they're all using the same paper line, which I go through the paper and all of the supplies that I used and everything before I do the tutorial. And each one of these does have, again, it is a window pocket, so if you pull out all of the ephemera, you will see the window envelope. They each have a journal tag. They're just kind of some basic journal tags. I did use some sort of cardstock in the background just so you saw something besides the envelope back there. And it has a pocket right here in each one of them, and then also a pocket behind there. So there's kind of 2 pockets in the front. So each of them I did choose to at least put one small tag in the front and then 1 or 2 things behind it. This one was just some journal card and a little tag that I created. And all of them also, I added some sort of paper on the back side of the tag so that you could also definitely journal on the back side. And this one I did choose to actually stamp also. So that was the first one that I created. The second one, they're all very similar, maybe just different ephemera pieces on them. This one did have the trim or the lace on the bottom. This one I left without, but I just used, like I said, different pieces of ephemera. So this one, the large tag, looks like this. And this one in the ephemera that matched the paper line that I used, they did have this little frame so you could insert a photo or something behind here. So I left that and added just some trim down there and decorated the tag. And again, you can journal on the back side. This one has a piece of ephemera that you can journal on the back side. And then this one was fun. The paper line that I used did have a little naughty or nice list, so I had that tag in here also. And so there's a close-up look of that one. And then I also chose not to decorate the backs of these just because I am planning on, if I use them in a journal, to glue them down and use them as a tuck spot or another pocket. But if you wanted to, you could definitely add some paper to the back of it and use it as a floating pocket also. And so here is the final one, and again, this is the one that we will be doing in the tutorial. Very similar layout to the other ones. There's a tag, a little bit larger tag, and the back one of this I did do a flip on it instead for journaling, so there's some extra space on the back side. And then this one on the journal card on the inside, I had a little piece of ephemera that went the right way, so I added that so you could see it through the window. There's also a piece of ephemera that I glued up there. And there's the journal card for that one. So for those of you that just wanted to watch the project share, thank you guys so much for watching today. And for everybody else that would like to stay tuned to the rest of it, I will go through the supplies real quick and then I will go into the tutorial. For today's project, you will need a few supplies. The basics, of course, are you will need a window envelope. And again, I'm working with one that is 8 5/8 by 3 5/8. You only need one, and you can have it sealed for this project. So if it's not sealed, go ahead and seal it up. You will also need whatever your favorite types of glue are. I usually work with like tacky glue, Fabri-Tac glue, and a glue stick. I like the Scotch permanent one or else the Yoo-Hoo brand. You also might need a scissors or a paper cutter or paper trimmer. Optional, but I will have used a tab punch and a circle punch on my project today. For today's project, I am also going to be using a piece of a doily. I do have some smaller stickers, or a sticker that's smaller than this that has a poinsettia on it that I'll be using. I'm also going to possibly use some trims on my project, so I either have eyelash trim or just some little trims in my stash. I will be working with paper today from the Carta Bella company, and it's really nice thick cardstock, and it's the Christmas Wonderland collection and also the matching ephemera that comes with it. You could also definitely do this project today with digital papers and digital ephemera, fussy cut ephemera, or whatever else you have in your stash that would work, stickers, etc. So today's project, I think, is fairly easy. We're making a front pocket window envelope, and again, this is episode number 9. So the template that we are working from today is kind of a very straightforward and basic template, and I am drawing inspiration from Roxy's Creations here on YouTube for today's project. I've seen her do very similar things with different types of envelopes, and so I've just adapted it to work with the envelope that I'm working with. And so you can kind of see here's a template that we're working from. And on this one, I did go ahead and trim the bottom and the top, and then I also notched it. And so I would have a pocket right here. And then also once I glue it down, I have a pocket here, and I have the pocket here. And depending upon how you use it in your journal, you could have another pocket or a tuck spot. Or you could also use it as a floating pocket if you want. And so that's kind of the basic template that we're working with. And so I will do one with you guys here real quick. So I do have a sealed envelope. And again, depending upon whether or not you want it to be a double pocket or not in the bottom, is if you do want it to be a double pocket like I'm doing, you're going to go ahead and trim just a little sliver on the bottom. When I mean the bottom, I mean the long way of the envelope, and then also the top, because this is my orientation. I'm using the window envelope up at the top. And I'm going to cut off just a little sliver right here too. So as you can see, I didn't cut off very much. And then your next step is to create a pocket. So if you do need a bone folder, go ahead and use that. So you just need to decide how much of your window envelope you want showing. You can make kind of a smaller pocket or slightly deeper pocket. So it's up to you what you prefer. So that is kind of the basics of creating one of these front pocket window envelopes. And then I'm going to go ahead and decorate one with you guys. And again, to make the video go a little bit faster, I have some stuff pre-cut and ready to go. I am going to grab a scrap piece of paper here as kind of a gluing background here. So I went ahead, and you can see I did the exact same thing already with an envelope. I've already folded it, and the only thing I did right here so far is I did glue in a piece of cardstock, just because I don't like to see the lines of the envelope when you pull stuff out of it. I like to have something in the background, so I did glue a piece of blue cardstock down. I also went ahead and cut a piece of paper and trimmed out the window. And again, I usually use some sort of template to do that. And so again, you can kind of see here, and on the back side, you can kind of see my pencil marks. And so I just very carefully cut around on the inside. So to start with, then I'm going to go ahead and glue this down on the inside. And the biggest thing is you just want to make sure that it's shorter than wherever your fold is. So you don't need to necessarily glue right up to your fold. You can do it underneath. So you can use a little bit shorter piece of paper if you want. Of course, you can also decorate the front if you like to do collaging and paper piecing. You can definitely do that. That's really fun to do, and I've done that on a couple of the cards. So for this, you can use your glue stick or glue, and I think I usually prefer, when I can, I prefer the tacky glue. It holds better long term than the glue sticks do, and since this is nice thick cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and use the tacky glue to glue it down. But if you're using really thin paper, I go ahead and use the glue stick. I'm also going to go ahead right away and cut out a little notch up at the top. And I'm just going to trim just a little bit of that notch. I cut out a little bit more than what I wanted to, but so I just trimmed a little bit of it just to make it look more even. And you can, if you want, you could put another piece of paper and glue it down inside there to make it look a little bit different if you wanted to. So after you've done that, and again, like I said, I don't necessarily like how I did that notch. I would have made it a little bit smaller like the other ones I've shown you, or I prefer a notch like this. So that isn't perfect, but it'll be fine. And so then the next step then is to go ahead and cut a piece of paper that'll fit on your front pocket. And you want to glue that down also. Then I'm also going to make a notch in the pocket. I'm going to try not to do it quite as deep as that one. Okay, next I do have a couple of circles that I had cut out earlier with the circle punch, and I'm just going to add just a little decoration inside of each of these. You don't have to do this if you don't want, but like when you pull out your journal card, it just gives it a little more interest right there. And so what I do with these is I just lay it in there, see how far I need to cut. And I just make a mark on my circle of where I need to cut across. And then I'll just take a scissors and cut. So that's what we have so far, and you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just think it adds just a little bit more interest to the overall composition of the envelope. And then my next step is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue and glue this pocket shut. And temporarily, I'm just going to use some paper clips, or you could use binder clips just to kind of hold it shut so it has a chance to dry. The tacky glue does dry fairly fast, but I'm just going to hold those in place. And then I just wanted to show you the rest of what I have here while that's drying. So I did already pre-make a journal card or tag for the inside of the envelope. And I don't know how well it's going to slide in with the paper clips on there, but as you can see, I did use that tab punch that I showed you earlier, and I used some of the scrap paper to cut out a tab. I used to use that same paper line. They had one that had like a naughty or nice list and numbers, and I just cut it down to make my journal card. Also in the ephemera, they had this little candle piece, and on the back side I just glued down some tea-dyed paper, and so that will fit inside of here. And like I said, since I have the paper clips on, it's kind of tight, so I'll give that a minute to dry before I push it in all the way, but I wanted to show you guys what I had already done. So as you're working on your project, as you're letting this dry, you can go ahead and cut out your tags or work on whatever else you need to. I also created this tag for the bigger pocket here, and that's what that one looks like. So I had the background piece, and I just cut out the little notch up here and layered on a piece of tea-dyed paper, I think, and this was a part of the ephemera pieces, and these two pieces are scraps. This little piece right here came from when I cut this window piece out. This was the back side of the paper because it's two-sided paper. And then that was just a scrap. And then when you turn this over, I did go ahead on the back side. I added a folded over piece of tea-dyed paper that I stamped up at the top that said season greetings. And I glued it down so that I would have another little spot to journal on. So that's for the back pocket. For the front pocket, there was a tag in the ephemera set. So I just went ahead and decided to use that as a tag for the front pocket. So I didn't have to do anything with that one. And then I had a couple more pieces of the ephemera that I pulled out that I thought I could work with. And then also a piece of doily. So my plan, I think, is to decorate kind of how I did the ones in the beginning that I showed you. Is I'm going to cut this doily down to fit on the pocket. I have another little ephemera piece right here. So I'm going to lay that across here. You could also put a label or something across there. And then I still had one of these stickers left. It did have a piece of foam underneath it, foam sticker, and I took that off because I'm just going to glue it directly. So I'm thinking I'm going to glue this either up here in the corner or down there in the corner. And there was also some ephemera in there that said December, so I'm thinking I might just glue that directly up here for some more interest. And I did have this little reindeer, but I don't think I'm going to use it anywhere on here, so I'm just going to set that aside for another project. I just had that laying on my desk, and I thought it went with this, but I don't think in my head that I was going to use it. So, I'm going to glue all of those pieces down real quick, and I will be back to show you the finished project. Okay, I did finish gluing everything down, and I did do a couple things that I forgot to mention earlier when I said what I was going to be gluing down, and I will point those out. So again, here was the journal card that was already completed, and I'm going to go ahead and stick that into our envelope. So that will go there, and that's what you will see. And again, I already had pre-made a tag that I decorated. That's the front, and then the back with the little flip on it. And so that's going to go in this back pocket. So it will kind of hide the window envelope on this, but I think it's always kind of fun when you have it in your journal, and if you pull this out and then you see that, it's like, oh, there's something else behind there. So it's kind of fun. And so I'll stick that in there. And again, I have this pre-made ephemera tag that was not pre-made, but was part of the ephemera kit that came with the paper collection. And I did end up just gluing that little reindeer down to the back side of it just for a little decoration. And so I'm going to put this in the front pocket. And so our completed project then would have 3 different things in it. Something in the front pocket, behind the front pocket, and then inside. And then the other item that I did do is I went ahead and I glued down some trim at the very bottom too. And so that was the only other option that I did. And so that is kind of the completed project. And of course, if you wanted to make this into a floating pocket for your journal, you would need to cover the backside with some sort of scrapbooking paper or digital paper or tea-dyed paper, coffee-dyed paper, whatever your preference is. So if you're going to use this then in a journal, and we're just going to pretend that my book here is a journal page, and what I would do if I were to use this in a journal is I would go ahead and I would glue it on this side and the bottom, and then glue it down, and then you would have a tuck spot. So if you wanted to tuck something else in there, you could. You could also glue it down on the 3 sides, and then you would have another top loading pocket. Or the other option again is if you decide to go ahead and decorate the back or put coffee dyed or tea dyed paper on the back, you could make it into a floating pocket, and then you could go ahead and just maybe attach with a paper clip onto your journal page, and then you could still pull it off, use everything, and then also journal on the back side of it. So you have different options for this front pocket with window envelope. So again, I wanted to thank everybody so much for watching today, and hopefully you were inspired to create one of your own front pocket window envelopes. And until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.